And a very, very good morning to everybody. Welcome back to the Dice Tower week. I don't know what week this is of the Dice Tower. We've been going for a while. I think we've been doing this for 10 years, the Q&As. But hey, welcome back. It is Monday morning. A lot of stuff going on. We're about to finish up October. They're about to change the time back this week because they still haven't voted this into play. I've given kind of up on that. But I guess there's an extra hour this week, so that's great. We get this extra hour so that we might lose it later on. Let's see. The November's coming. Thanksgiving's on its way. So this is, question and answer time. If you have any of those, just let me know. And we will, we'll see what we can get to here. So let's see here. Fall back, woohoo. Well, it's only, the woohoo is just an hour of, an extra hour of sleep. And I really dislike what it does to the times, right? It makes it get darker earlier in the day, and I don't like that. One extra hour of sleep, you can just do that anyway. You can just go to bed an hour earlier Saturday night. That's all. All right. Where are we here? Do you know why computer scientists confuse Halloween and Christmas? Because Oct 31 is the same as Dec 25. Yeah, no one counts. Does anyone count in Oct? I mean, I know hexadecimal people count in, but I mean, I learned all these different counting systems back in the day. I saw an old video you use photo boxes for storage of small games. Any drawbacks so far? Would you still recommend it? So the drawbacks are, if you ever try to get rid of the game, then you have to hope that the people that you sell it to or whatever are okay with it being in a photo box. And those photo boxes can break. I've had a few break. But for the most part, I don't have any drawbacks. I very much like this way better. It also takes up more space. So like for me in the library, it works fine. But if you have like your own house, and I mean, each of those photo boxes, sometimes it's the same amount of space as bigger card boxes, but if it's those little card boxes, they technically take up less space. So those would be the disadvantages. But yeah. Is there a 4X game that plays well with 2? I have no idea off the top of my head, but why don't you ask that? I mean, it depends if you're looking for 4X. There's very few true 4X games to begin with. So I would ask that on our Facebook group. Probably people will do that. Would you go into a haunted place at night? Like a real haunted place? Like a place that people say, hey, this hotel is haunted, this room is haunted, this house is haunted? Only if I had a good reason to. I get spooked by the dark, so I don't know that I would go to one just for the fun of it. The extra hour mostly means the dogs are confused as to when to wake up and take their walks. No joke. I appreciate that. Does anyone stick around at the Dice Tower headquarters and hand out candy for Halloween? It hasn't happened in the past. What's your views on board game tables? The thing I'm sitting at. Are they too expensive for most people? Well, there's definitely cheaper options. You have the all-play tables are not nearly as expensive as the Rathscowers and other big tables. Then you have table toppers, which are or game toppers. Sorry, game toppers, which are even cheaper than that. So there are affordable options for sure. If there's one thing I've learned when I bought furniture is that stuff's pretty expensive regardless. So to me, I think if you're getting a new table, you might consider it. But be wary. I know a lot of people are like, this will be a game table and a dining room table. But very few people use it as both. Now, at my house, we actually do. Although my wife uses it more than me because she uses it as a puzzle table. She keeps the puzzle in it that she's working on, and then we use it as a dining table. But what you can afford or not is really up to you and your budget. I definitely don't think you have to have one. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, everyone needs one. That's nonsense. Octal, says Richard Saunders, is useful for specifying permissions in Unix. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Have I had thoughts on a series where Dice Star members play their number one game? I think folks would like to see people that they love a game playing. Sure, I mean, we could do all sorts of things. I have played my number one games, all of them, live, actually. But not a series per se. I mean, you could come up with... People often email me and they'll be like, hey, I have a new idea for a series. Great. What series would you like us to get rid of? Because that's where it often comes to, right? We only have so much time to record stuff. We love to be showing you playing games all the time, but there's more involved. What's the first board game you can remember playing? Maybe Candyland? I remember playing Monopoly and Uno at a very young age. When can we expect more D&D? Next Thursday, not this coming Thursday. This coming Thursday, we have a top 10 list. We'll be doing our top 10 memorable gaming experiences. But next week, we'll continue on the role-playing path. Are full candy bars still the best Halloween treat? I don't think so. I mean, maybe for teenagers that matters, but for kids, they're getting a bucket full of candy. Eating little pieces of candy is just fine. The only thing I can think about a full candy bar is that you do it to show off. The people who hand them out are doing it to show everyone just how much money they have to spend, I guess. Who was the first in the morning into the studio after you? Chris. Sometimes it's someone else, but it's almost always Chris. Do you think Lorcana will be available for most people before Christmas? We can hope so. I have never seen the Book of Mormon, so I can't answer this question. When a game leaves the library, does it ever make to your house for your personal collection? Not really. I mean, I actually just cut a pile of games from the library. The library is having some big moving and shaking done. It always does this time of year. The two biggest times are between the retreat and the cruise, and then between the cruise and Dice Tower East, because we had the most time on those. And I'm trying to add in a lot of these new Essen games, but I got to get rid of games to do that. I got rid of all the big box Queen games. Not because I don't like them. I think they're great, several of them. But I want to go down to the smaller box versions. The problem is finding those smaller box versions. So I'm on the hunt for Alhambra and its second expansion, because I think the second expansion is the best. And I would put that one in for some nice modules to mess with. I'm on the hunt for Fresca, for Merlin, for Kingdom Builder, and for Escape. Those 5. I had 5 big boxes. But by taking those out, I added the room for 10 games. There was no look back for September 30th. What's your updated opinion of Splendor Duel? I don't know what that means. I still like Splendor Duel. If I miss a look back, I don't skip the games. I do the games in order. So they're not always exactly the week. That's 1, 5, 10, 20 years ago. Sometimes they're off by different methods, but I don't skip games when I'm going through them. So I probably talked about that in a different look back. How was running an RPG again? Did you feel any rust? Oh, for sure. It's definitely I'm definitely rusty. If you watched it, you can see that I was not particularly good at doing it. But the creativity it allowed me to rebuild this world. I've always had this kind of world in mind. This one has definitely some hooks, some interesting things I've not done before. And I definitely have a very large overarching story in mind. I mean, it's not fleshed out. I have the main bad guy in mind, not fleshed out completely either. And I'm slowly building up the lore and everything of this world. Of course, a lot of stuff I just make up off the top of my head. So there's that too. How is going through all the new games going? Well, I mean, it just is what it is. I was talking to Chris this morning. I try to, when I play a hot game, then I try to play one that's not hot too, so that we're being as fair as possible. But we're not going to get to all the Essen games before the end of the year, or even by June, probably at the rate we're going. We're playing lots of interesting ones. We got some big ones going up this week. The new CGE, the Fox experiment, and this is the week. This is the week of Mike. Mike Delicio is in the studio this week, so you'll see him on Crowdsurfing. You'll see him in our top 10 list that we're doing. You'll see him on Smorgasbord. And you'll see him in our live play tomorrow of Dice Throne here. Have you finally beaten Zelda and moved on to Spider-Man 2? No, I liked this first Spider-Man, but I didn't love it. I got bored fighting thugs all the time, and that kind of got boring to me. I suppose there's other, like, it starts off with this fantastic fight against Rhino, the first one, which was awesome. And then I just went around and thought thug after thug after thug, and I don't know, that just got boring to me. I have not beaten Zelda, actually. I just kind of faded out from playing it. My kids were playing it, and I believe my son lost my save games, and I'm not sure I want to play through the whole thing again. I mean, I did everything except fight the main bad guy, I think. I didn't finish the Lightning Temple, but that and the main bad guy. So I saw most of the game. I still have to beat Horizon. I still haven't played most of Horizon, the West, or the one after Horizon Zero Dawn, the Far West, or the Forbidden West. And I have Baldur's Gate that I like to get through. So, I played Baldur's Gate for a bit, and then I just kept having technical problems with it. I downloaded it on the PS5, and it kept having errors. So I looked it up online, and people were like, disconnect your internet. So I disconnected the internet, and it worked. But then, right when I got off this ship you start on in the beginning, it buzzed out on me. It did that 3 times in a row, and I was like, I'll come back to this. Maybe it'll be fixed somehow magically in the future. Do you prefer to set up a game or put away a game that has lots of chits and parts? I don't know what that means. Like, which one do I like better? I guess setting it up. How many newsletter subscribers does the Dice Tower have? I don't know, actually, off the top of my head. But you can check it out. It's DicetowerDigest.com if you want to subscribe to that. How many episodes are there going to be for the RPG? I don't know. We'll play until we decide to stop. Would you play some more one-on-one abstracts as part of a Play It Live? Maybe. Is anyone in your family looking forward to Mario RPG or Pokemon Detective on a Switch? Well, I'm going to get them Mario RPG. I'm going to see how my son feels about playing that. He doesn't know anything about it. I don't think he even knows it's out, really. Or it's coming out in a few weeks or something. So I'm going to get that for him, probably for Christmas. As a parent of some young trick-or-treaters, do you take the required Reese's tax? No. If my kids offer me candy, I might take some, but I don't take any of the candy. What determines if a game review gets a full studio review, a solo review, or thrown into a 7 quick reviews? I do. If your mother only likes to play Skippa, Uno, or Sequence, we'll just find a simple, small game. I would ask this question, whenever your question's like looking for suggestions, I highly recommend asking them on Facebook because you'll get a ton of answers. And then you can go through those and look at the games and decide which one that you would have them play. Did you do a lot of trick-or-treating with your kids? If so, what was your favorite costume? I took my son out on Friday. I didn't wear a costume, but he was Link, which was surprising because he was the only Link out there that I saw. People were very, he kept getting compliments from adults too, because adults like the game. I was surprised there wasn't more of that. There's lots of interesting costumes out there. I'm not a big fan of the inflatable costumes, like the alien gets captured a person, or the T-Rexes. I don't know. I see interesting costumes, but me and my wife were talking about it. When we were kids in the 80s, we don't remember any parents dressing up and when they went out trick-or-treating with their kids. Parents might dress up to go to a costume party, and there might be the odd, there's the one parent who always dressed up to hand out candy, and that was kind of the weird, kooky parent of the neighborhood. And teenagers very rarely, when you got to a certain age, you stopped trick-or-treating, right? You were too old for that. But now everybody goes out trick-or-treating. If I'm handing out candy, the whole family's dressed up. They all have bags, including the adults sometimes. So it's just a different thing. And the whole trunk or treat thing, which is obviously a safer way to do it, seems to be a bigger draw often more than going house to house. Times change. A top 10 things I learned from board games could be a thing. That's true. Petrichor. I didn't know what Petrichor was till I played that game. Also, this week we're reviewing Mlem, and I didn't know Mlem was that thing that cats do. I didn't know that there was a word for that. Really enjoyed the last Game and Talk. Chris does a great job editing those. He took a long time to edit this one. A lot of work went into it, so definitely go check that out. So I already answered whether I finished Tears of the Kingdom. I've not yet completely finished it, but which one did I enjoy most? Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom? It's not even close. Tears of the Kingdom is so much bigger and vaster. I mean, just the fact that it has that underground area is awesome. And the skies, it's not triple the content, but it feels like it. And the crafting system, I don't care as much about the crafting vehicles. That's like a whole part of the game I haven't really messed with. I do what I need to do to, like, you need to make a vehicle to go do this. Like, fine, I'll make the vehicle. But I'm not as big of a fan of that. Just not something I want to do. But the crafting weapons, I love that. I love sticking any two things together. And my biggest problem with Zelda was always, hey, this awesome weapon I have, I didn't want to use it because it would break. Now I don't care anymore. I just go get another weapon and build it, and then it breaks, and I make another weapon. It doesn't bother me, the breaking of weapons anymore. Do you enjoy carving pumpkins? No, but my daughter likes to carve pumpkins, and this year we looked up how to keep a pumpkin from going bad. I didn't know you dip it in a bucket and you put a little bit of bleach or some other stuff in it, and it kills the bacteria, and that keeps your pumpkin from decaying too quickly. I did not know this. What was my final opinion on the Brandon Sanderson 4-book Kickstarter? I don't know yet. I definitely don't think that the extra stuff was worth it at all. I'll never do that again. I'll just get the books next time. I enjoyed the books, the first two books. I liked one much better than the other. The third book I kind of got thrown off by the silly writing again, so I stopped reading it. And the fourth one I haven't read yet, so I don't know. Have you played the Supermoon expansion for Planet Unknown? Is it even out? I haven't got it. Will the Dice Tower do a dedicated tabletop role-playing game segment? You mean like the game we just played last week? Or do you mean something else? I don't know what you mean. We just did. Blake celebrates 16 months of membership. Thanks, Blake. Do you have an update on the Dice Tower Retreat vlog? I don't, actually. The person who did it, yeah, it may never happen. We'll see. Will you review Dune Uprising with both expansions? I could be really clear on this. I will not. There's so many other things to review. Someone else can do it. Did you buy Mario Wonder? Not yet. Jimmy needs to finish a certain amount of books before I get it for him. What's your general opinion of board games based on video games? I assume it will not be good. That's not necessarily the case. Although off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of one that's really good. But I don't know. I just don't see what the draw of it is. I mean, I can see why I might want to say, hey, you love Super Mario, here, play this great board game based on it. But video games are great at what they do. Board games are great at what they do. I don't need to see one as the other. Happy birthday to Will. Let's see here. Lots of things here. Folks, just as a heads up, I'm not going to keep answering questions on what do I think of a specific game and or am I reviewing a game soon, just because I don't know when we're reviewing games, unless they happen to be reviewed this week. I know those are when those are going up. And what I think of a certain game, if I play a game, it's getting in a review somehow, some way. Has a long setup teardown ever been a significant factor in rating a game lower? It can be, yeah. I mean, if the game takes forever to put together or tear down, I don't know that I would rate, I might drop it a point, but depending on how onerous it is. Did the RPG party give their party a name? Not as far as I've heard. Which Race for the Galaxy expansions do you recommend for more card variety without any side variants? I think you said you only kept the first 3 expansions. I don't remember what I did exactly. I pulled out the expansions for the most part. I think I just put in a bunch of the cards from them. I don't remember, honestly. First 3 expansions are fine, though they're all very small. The 4th expansion is the one I don't like with the boards, and then the 5th one with the aliens I liked. I have honestly lost track. I like the Arboreal live play. What happened to the video? I couldn't find it. I don't think we took it down. It's probably still on the website somewhere. In your experience, how long will the average 11-year-old play at an event like Dice Tower? I found that, like, if you're talking Dice Tower East or Dice Tower West, not particularly long. My kids come in, they play a few games, they play a few hours, and then they head off. Now, if there's like a specific event, they might stay longer. When there used to be someone running a games area for kids, they stayed longer. But for the most part, there is that amazing pool outside. You're in Orlando. There's other things to do. So I see, I mean, I'm sure anytime I say this, someone's going to be like, my kid was there 24 hours. Well, fine. I mean, that's the case. But for the most part, most of the kids I saw came in, played for a few hours, and then went and did other stuff. What's the most impressive friendly local game store I've ever seen? Well, I haven't seen some of the really big ones. Like, I've always wanted to see Millennium Games up in New York. I've heard that one's really big. And there's a few other big ones I'd like to see. Madness in Dallas was pretty big, so that would probably be the most impressive one I've seen. But I will say I was pretty impressed with Level Up in Georgia, for sure. Any tips on getting your games played at game meetups? So I don't know what you mean. If you mean your games that you designed, well, have fun with that. I don't know how to get people to play games you designed. If you're talking about the games you brought, well, bring games people want to play. Start setting it up. Be proactive. Like, hey, I'm going to play this game. Anyone want to join me? That's what I do. Top 10 games that feel like a CCG. That I might do at some point. I really think I will do that. What is my current favorite fantasy story? Well, I mean, anything Brandon Sanderson writes, frankly. Is Cribbage a board game or a card game? I don't really differentiate too much between that. You'll notice on Dice Tower Awards, we don't give out best card game for this very specific reason. So I don't care. Let's see here. Favorite game mats? Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to go look at all the different play mats that exist. Favorite Halloween song? Well, Ghostbusters for sure, but there's not a lot. So yesterday, me and the kids were playing a slightly Halloween-themed game. I was like, let's put on Christmas music. And, oh, okay, I'll wait till November 1st. Let's play Halloween music. And there's not much. And a lot of it, I'm like, ugh, I don't like that song. I mean, you have the classics. You have Ghostbusters, and then you have Michael Jackson's. Then you have, the Monster Mash. And if you like the Monster Mash, there's like 20 songs that are similar to that are much not nearly as good songs. And then, of course, a lot of people will start listing songs in the comments. That's fine. Here's what I am looking for, since we're on the top subject of music. So I'm putting together my Christmas music list. I always do every year. I have a Christmas list. You can look it up on Spotify. It's called Vassal's Christmas. And for Vassal's Christmas list, what I do is I pick a lot of songs I like. So I went through like Joy to the World and went and listened to all the joys of the world and then just put a few on. Because when I listen to my Christmas music list, I want as much variety as possible. So if there's new music, I was just listening to some new Christmas music today, deciding on whether, hang on. Sorry. If you have a new song that I've never heard of or a new style, I'm always looking for different styles and interesting Christmas music. Email me at tom@dicetower.com. I love to learn more about Christmas music. Are there any comedians you enjoy watching? Well, I prefer to listen to comedians if I can help it. Jim Gaffigan, I've always liked him. I like Mike Birbiglia. I like the guy who was just on SNL and whose name I'm forgetting. And Joey's going to get mad because it's his favorite comedian. There's a few, but not many. Not many. I'm very picky with comedians. Is a review for the new Stonemaier Apiary dropping anytime soon? I know I just said I wouldn't answer these, but I don't have apiary, so not likely anytime soon. I did not get the Adventure Tactics big box. They did not send it to us, so I don't know how big it is. Sniper Elite, the board game, didn't need to have the theme, but it was good. Yes, that's a good example of a video game, board game that's very good. You enjoyed the Game and Talk. Are there plans to do more of them? Sure. We always have plans to do more of them. A lot of effort goes into them. Any tips for starting weekly meetups for local areas? There's a lot to go on that. You need to find a place that's going to let you do it. You need to have some ground rules set in place, and you need to make sure that you're there a lot or someone else is going to be there to make sure it runs well. What type of data do you log in regards to the library? Just gameplays. That's it. Oh, and missing pieces. How do you feel that Dice Tower TV has worked? I'm very happy with it, actually. And I will be running it again. We'll be running it 2 more times this year. I'll be running it during Dice Tower, during Thanksgiving week, and also during Christmas week. The Arborea video is not on YouTube? Oh, that's weird. It's definitely here on my thing. We'll play it live, Arborea. You might need to look under the live streams. That's probably where you would need to find it. Do you at the Dice Tower take suggestions for top 10 ideas? Well, you can always email them to me at tom@dicetower.com. But I will not promise to do them. All I do is I stick them in a file, and sometimes I look at that file for ideas. But again, I don't promise that I will do it. Is the Unmatched or Dice Throne system your favorite? Which one do I like better of those two? I don't know. I mean, they're both good, but I probably like Dice Throne a little bit better. Do you think it's ever fair to compare games which have the same theme or very different mechanics? You can compare whatever you want. I could compare Monopoly to Axis and Allies. I don't care. You can compare them. It just might not make sense, the comparison, but you can compare whatever you want. Did I hear that Magical Athlete is going to be reprinted? You did hear that. I don't know much more about it. Hey, Troy, thanks for the super chat. That's very, very nice of you to do. Any sites that do great Black Friday sales usually isn't, nowadays they've moved that to Cyber Monday, right? Afterwards. Black Friday to me is almost a dead holiday now. I'm just going to me, Black Friday is Christmas decoration day. That's the way it's always been in our house, and that's the way it will be. I've often done a gaming day on Black Friday, but since my kids are coming home from college this year, I'm going to hang out with them. And since I bought a house for the first time, I'm hanging Christmas lights. I've never done this before. I don't know much about it, but I'm going to figure it out. How much of the boxes with stuff from the Sanderson Kickstarter have you kept? Not much. Just a few things. The bookends, maybe. Do we ever order takeout or pizza for lunch for here? Yeah, sometimes we get lunch to go. We often do it during the spectaculars. Do I plan on doing any holiday one-shots or anything like that with the RPG? I have no plans other than to follow the trail for now. I wanted to decorate for Christmas last week, but the family said no. Who cares? Do it anyway. Do it when they're sleeping. In your limited experience, if you set a board game at a convention or meetup for others to come join you, what percent of the time will enough people join to get the optimal or near optimal count? I don't know what that means. In my limited experience, I just grab whoever I can get to play a game. At a convention, it's usually pretty easy because I'll just walk around and grab people and say, hey, you're looking for a game? I got a game. Hey, you want to play a game with me? I got one ready to play. That seems to work well, so that's what I do. I really enjoyed the editing and the episode featuring Catan recently. Got some tabletop revival vibes. Is there any way to do more of these? Well, possibly. And title these differently. Oh, I'd love to title them differently. Game and Talk is the title we came up with a long time ago. We realized it's maybe not the best title. But I haven't been able to think of a good one. I definitely can't call it Dice Tower Tabletop. I feel like Felicia Day might come after me if I do that, or Will Wheaton. But I just need a good title for him. I don't know. John says, I'm not really a fan of Christmas music. Oh, well, I'm a huge fan of it. Is the Carcassonne Big Box worth the investment if you enjoy the base game and don't own any parts yet? It might be. Now people are talking to each other for a while. What did you do with all your kids' baby teeth? I believe they're in the trash. I don't keep a lot of stuff. I don't know what you do. Like, tape it into a scrapbook and be like, look, baby teeth. Make a bag, put them on an ornament. Make a piece of a tie made out of my kids' baby teeth. Well, we'll be doing a best of 2023 videos before Christmas so we can have gift ideas. Well, I'll one-up you on that. First of all, the answer is yes. We do our best of 2023 will be part of our Winter Spectacular, which is the second week of December. But in 2 weeks from today, yes, 2 weeks from today, the 12 Games of Christmas, sponsored by Above Board Games, will go live. We are actually working on those. We already have the lists made up. We'll be recording those and recording them this week, editing them next week, and they'll be going up, giving you some ideas for games. Not all will be from 2023. A lot will be from 2023. Some will be just older classic games that we think are worth your time getting. My wife and I log who has the highest score on the inside of our game box. Have you ever done this before with any game? No, I actually dislike it. I just don't care. I don't care who has the highest scores. I care who wins any particular game, and that's about it. Do dice card versions of already existing games ever make the game heavier and more complex? Maybe once or twice, but they're usually lighter. Do you wait till after Thanksgiving to decorate for Christmas or hold off till December? No, I do it the day, like I just said, we do it on Black Friday. We always have done that. Although I often will decorate the studio for Christmas before Thanksgiving so that when the gang comes in for Thanksgiving, it's decorated up. Will I be comparing the Robo Rallies? I might, but real briefly, the new one is fine. It's better than the Hasbro one, but not as good as the rest of them. So there you go. Is there a board game that scratches the Roller Coaster Tycoon itch? Not really. Not that I found one yet. There's a lot of great theme park games that are fun and interesting, but they don't scratch that same itch. They're more just, they're board games. They got new LED Christmas lights that are super cool. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the twinkly lights? Because I really like the twinkly lights. The twinkly lights are, I bought them a couple years ago for my Christmas tree. And so you wrap your Christmas tree in these twinkly lights, and then you map the lights once they're on the Christmas tree, and then you can like put different patterns and stuff, and it will come across those lights. It's really neat. Oh, someone just said that right afterwards. Twinkly makes some amazing Christmas lights. They're very expensive lights, unfortunately, but I think they're good quality, and I think they're worth it in the long run. So far, I've had any problems with them. I think they're really neat. I got confused by the changes. That was Q&A last week and breakfast this week. It was definitely breakfast last week, and it will be definitely breakfast next week. Black Friday's a nightmare, says John. I work at Amazon. I'm so sorry. Do you think it's harder or easier to get into the hobby today in comparison to how it was 10 years ago? Oh, it's definitely easier. But by hobby, if you mean playing games, yeah, you just go buy a game. You go to Amazon and buy games and have it at your house tomorrow. You know, that's amazing. So it's really easy to get into the hobby, I think. You have reviews, so much information out there to do. You don't have to back Kickstarters to be part of the hobby. You don't have to have out-of-print games. You can just go get some great games right now. Am I happy with the van? I'm very happy with the van. Bruce says, I just got a bunch of flat iron pepper blends from Amazon. They're fantastic. They are fantastic. Flat iron, they're really good. I'm very impressed with them. That'd be so awesome to see their faces when you wake up if you decorate the house while they slept. So, yeah, I've done that before where I've done some things for when the kids sleep, but first of all, it's a lot of work to do, and you're not feeling it at night. You're like, let's decorate. And it's also hard to decorate the outside of the house at night. Oh, Joshua Curtis gave a super chat, donating for more Game and Talk videos. Go, Chris. Thanks, Josh. That's great. Don't Nick Me says, when stuck in a game you're not enjoying, is it worse etiquette to quit a game mid-play or play fast with obvious no interest? Well, it's worse to quit because you ruin the game for everybody. If you hate a game, I mean, you still should try your best, but see if everyone else hates the game too. Maybe everybody else wants to quit. GMT makes some excellent war games. Is there a reason they are not commonly reviewed at Dice Tower? We don't play hefty war games here for the most part. We play some light stuff. GMT sends us games, but they send them so randomly. Like, they didn't send us the Mr. President game, but they sent us like a war game. Sometimes they come out with a light game and they'll send it. Sometimes they don't. So we just take whatever they come, and sometimes we review it. But if it's a war game, usually we're not going to. Just watched a Creep Show episode about a mother that kept her kid's baby teeth that did not end well. It doesn't sound like it would. Thoughts on the Stormlight Archive series is my favorite series ever in anything. Are you rooting for anyone in the World Series, Tom? I am not. How excited are you for the World Spanner Factions Duel of Ages 3 Kickstarter? This took 41 minutes for someone to ask this question. I am prepared to answer this one. We'll talk about it more when it comes up in crowd surfing, but I figured I should mention it since they're definitely using me to advertise the project. You know, they're saying we won 31 awards or whatever. They're saying like they won all these awards, and that's because it was on my top 100 list, you know, like, I don't know, 8-9 years in a row. That's not an award, but whatever. I do appreciate that I like the game. So they're going out of their way not to call it Duel of Ages 3 because they're like, there's no ages in the game. Okay, fine, but who cares? It still is Duel of Ages 3. I mean, it is clearly Duel of Ages 3. So Duel of Ages used to be my favorite game when I first played it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a fantastic game. I loved the theming of it. I loved the anachronistic, you know, Wild Bill Hickok having a flamethrower fighting against Genghis Khan with a vibro sword. I like that, and I still like it. As time has gone by, I played so many more games and realized that this game is just not very streamlined. There's a lot of problems with it. And I hoped beyond hope that when they made Duel of Ages 2, it'd be much more streamlined. Nope, it was less streamlined, actually. There was even more going on, more characters. I still really like the game, though. I still have fun with it, despite all that stuff. It's still super fun. Duel of Ages 3, unfortunately for me, and I'm going to play it, you know, and see. And it looks like there's a lot of things about it I like, but it looks like they haven't learned a lot. You know, there's lots of things in there like, look how streamlined it is. It's not that streamlined. Just because you have fewer rules in your rulebook doesn't mean the game is more streamlined. There's still as many stats on the cards practically. The cards are still full of stats. There's still just so much. You look at the project, there's just a ton going on. I also particularly do not like the art. Some of the art is fine. They have a lot of different artists, but some of it just, and the art's so big and in your face, I don't care if it's small. And some of the board that they drew, that looks great. But a lot of the characters, they look a little stilted. They look a little lifeless. I don't know. I don't know. I wish the art was better. I think that actually makes a big difference in this game. So it looks interesting. It looks fun. It still has that same idea of the anachronistic world and people coming back and forth. And I'm interested in it. It just, I'm planning when it comes in to act like I'm playing a game that came out in the early 2000s, which is when the original one came out. And so if I do that and look at it 20 years ago, you know, it just doesn't look like a 2023 game. That's all. So I hope it's good. I'm pretty sure I will enjoy it. I don't know if I'll recommend it. I think I can fit all that criteria. We'll have to wait and see. Do I listen to Trans-Siberian Orchestra? I do. Will you be watching the Marvels? Sure. Let's watch the Marvels. That's going to be my viewpoint. I've been watching Loki, and I like it so far. It's interesting, but it feels like there's a lot of mumble jumble, which I have no idea what they're talking about half the time. There's a lot of characters who they act like are really important. I'm like, are they? Who's that person again? I'm starting to... I mean, I'm interested to see how they're going to come, you know, follow up what they did last week, but also I saw Avengers Infinity Wars, so I'm not particularly nerve-wracked. I don't know. It's fine. It's interesting. I wish there was more Mobius and Loki interplay because that's the best part of the show, or then the new character. But I don't know. I've really gotten bored with Marvel lately, unfortunately. Would you like to see any particular game make it into the next World Series of Board Gaming? Well, I know which games are making it, so therefore, no. I can't really change anything there. Have I met Dan Halligan, designer of Obsession? I don't know if I've met him, but he definitely is he's a big champion of his games fans. He definitely gets involved with them. Is board game investing a thing? It's a dumb thing, but I guess it's a thing. I'm sorry. Board games are so big and giant, you do not know which board games are going to be popular. If you bought, let's say you bought just all the games that were hot that came out over the course of the year and bought 20 copies of each, maybe you might break even, maybe, but shipping and logistics and storage, oh man, collect baseball cards instead. You have a whole lot less, or, CCGs are a much better investment than board games. I don't think you should be getting board games for investment. Get them for fun. If you glue magnets to your gutters, you can put clips on the lights and hang them with just a hook. Oh, what? Couldn't you do that just by putting hooks up and then hanging the lights on them? I don't know how it's different. What's up with Chief Sokotoa? Chief Sokotoa is currently on an undercover mission, which doesn't actually, you're like, Tom, how darest thou spoil an undercover mission? But he's in the pudding sector, which is kind of a weird sector if you think about it, because you are basically like, we call it the pudding sector. It's not called that. It's actually the sector. But it feels like you're moving through pudding the whole time. So he's been in there for weeks. It's so exhausting. When he comes out, he will feel better, I'm sure. But once he's done with that mission, we'll see. I think he's going to get some Crimbo break. So. How did it feel to GM a game? Oh, it felt really fun. I really enjoyed it. You did really well. Well, I doubt that. Have I GM before? I have done it before in the past. So back when I was in college was the last time I did it. College, and then the first year out of college, I did it. No, I did it in Korea briefly for a year too. But it was always superheroes. And I always struggle with people. The thing I always struggle with is people just blowing everything up and not caring. I don't like that as the DM, but with superheroes, it's hard to do superhero stuff because it's in a 3D world. Most fantasy takes place on the ground. That guy's running at me. I'm going to fight him with a sword. But with superheroes, you can fly, you can do all sorts of things, so it's more three-dimensional. And I played the Palladium series, which is so much fun to build characters in, and then gives you no idea how to play the game. To this day, I don't know how to play the Palladium superhero RPG. But man, you can build amazing characters. Are you all planning on doing a Dice Tower convention in Indianapolis now that Mike is there? No. Could that ever replace a Dice Tower cruise? No. When you get rid of games in the library, what do you do with them? We get rid of them at a flea market at Dice Tower East. Hi, Tom. Sorry if I missed this, but any reason beyond just exhaustion from skipping PAX U this year? Well, the biggest reason, the number one reason, by a mile, is that it's too close to Christmas. It just is. And then we got our cruise and our Kickstarter both happening in January, and it just makes the month of December really, really tough. We don't need to go to PAX for game purposes because most of the publishers that we would talk there, we just saw at Essen, and we were able to get all the different games there and be able to play them. PAX definitely has a different audience that comes through. So that's a good positive benefit. A negative benefit was last year PAX, we got very little money from going to that convention. It just was a very costly thing for us to go to. I didn't like the layout last year. When you left the building, you had to go all the way around and come back in the front. That was exhausting, where our booth was. It was fine. It was a fine convention. We had a good time there, but yeah, those are just some of the reasons. Will Sam Healy be on a Dice Tower cruise? Not only will Sam be on the Dice Tower cruise, he'll be part of a top 10 we're doing on the cruise. I'm surprised you haven't reviewed the normal Red Dragon end games. You just mean Red Dragon. It's the same game over and over again. Red Dragon 2, 3, 4. It's just a Munchkin-esque party, take that card game. I don't think anyone at Dice Tower is really interested in playing or reviewing it. What book you've read would make a good board game? I'll say Starship Troopers. I know there already is a Starship Troopers games from Avalon Hill from way back when, but I'd like to see a more modern one. I think would be fun. When considering the hobby on average, says Andrew, do you feel like games have gotten better over time? 100% they've gotten better. Are there any particular eras or years in gaming that particularly stand out? 2012. What is the artwork hanging next to the Marvel Dice Throne? So this is from a failed Kickstarter, unfortunately. Magnets here, Stellar Prints, and this is the Omni Gamer here. What does it say? It doesn't actually. I think it was on the packaging what it said, but you can see she has a hand of cards here. She's playing a video game controller here. It looks like a chess piece, dice, a miniature game, and I guess she's playing rock, paper, scissors down here. So the Omni Gamer, that's what this particular one is called. And they stick up on the wall with magnets, which I really like. I have some at my house. I think they're fantastic. And I can't believe the Kickstarter didn't fund. Let's see here. I'd like to see a board game based on the characters from the most recent D&D movie. Maybe. Mentat says, we need to sign a petition for fewer Chief stories. That reminds me, one time me and the Chief were doing petitions. I'm not usually a big fan of petitions, but this was a petition to stop petitions against other petitions. And it was a big deal. This was in the bureaucratic world of ABIMO6 Zapvja. And the bureaucratic stuff there was like spinning the world to a halt. I mean, it didn't help that the enemies were scissor people, essentially, coming in to attack. I mean, if your world is paperwork, enemy scissors. And so it took us a while to get this done. But it worked. The petition against petitions for petitions was so outlandish that the people eventually rose up in revolt, which we then said our goodbyes and went our merry way. Let's see here. People are still talking about magnets in the gutters. I don't think I want to do that. Is it true Chief Sokoto went back in time and became his own elementary school teacher? That is not true. I played a lot of Marvel Superheroes RPG. My players had no care of killing, especially being vicious to villains. It became more like The Boys than Marvel at times. Yeah. I don't love that either, so that's why I'm glad to play with people who are more concerned about that. I think. I think that's what it is. People are now talking about magnets and superhero RPGs. Have you ever met one of your favorite authors? I met Timothy Zahn, so that was cool. I think he might be the only one of my favorite authors that I met, but it was very nice to meet him. I was able to talk to him for a bit, actually. Really, really nice guy. Very humble, very nice guy. If Dan Hughes were here, he'd make some comment about "let's see here" being a required Dice Tower phrase to move the chat along, but he's not here. I guess that's my even though I think I probably say also, but I'll say "let's see here." I could just be quiet, but I think it's good to have something. So let's continue. Was the chief voted in, or was it due purely to lineage? I don't know what that means. The chief is not a ruler anywhere. Chief Sokotoa, that's his name, Chief Sokotoa. The chief and me were both working for the time to the Fifth Power agency for a while. Hey everyone, back in the days during Board Game Breakfast, if Tom Vasel had a book that he would pick categories from and do top 10s in each category. I think the book was just called Top 10s. I still have the book. I now use it to help me pick top 3 categories for upcoming board game smorgasbords. Who would win in a fight, Chief Sokotoa or Gangrene the Gangrene Gorilla? Well, that's horribly spelled, Gangrene the Gangrene Gorilla, but Gangrene would lose to Chief Sokotoa. Gangrene is more of an enforcer. Gangrene and Chief Sokotoa have worked together in the past. Anyway, so I don't know that they would fight. Hey Tom, putting together my new studio and struggling with a top-down setup. Can you tell me what your setup is like? There's a camera hanging from the ceiling and it's attached there somehow. It's pointing down at the table. And I don't know how it's like magic. Z and Chris put that together, I think, and Roy and Mike and everyone but me. I know what I want, and I'm not very physically capable of that sort of thing. Those guys did it. I'm just struggling to put my Christmas lights up. All these wires, everything around here, the other guys did, and I appreciate that. That is not my forte. Will you get to play Terrascape for Halloween? Well, one can hope. In other news, when we're done here later today, we'll be doing We'll Play It Live, where we grab a game and play it live for the first time. Oh man, breezed past my question on the Dice Tower shelves. Actually, I didn't see your question on the Dice Tower shelves. Oh, where did you pick up the Dice Tower library wire shelves and shelf ledges? I believe it was from BJ's or Costco. And I know, by the way, Board Game Hype, that's not a good answer to your question, but I just don't know a lot of info about that. I got the cameras. For me, I take a thing and point it down at the table. That's what I do with the things. And you know what? I can learn more about that, but I have other people to do it for me. Tom, you're very imaginative. Have you thought about writing a book? I've thought about it. In fact, I did write a chapter or two of a book. I was going to write about a guy who, actually you could probably find it on the internet because I wrote it as a blog, but it was not very good writing. I would need to fulfill, but it was a blog of a guy who lived next door to basically Superman, and lived in a town of superheroes, and lived in a town of, you know, high-speed car chases and detectives and stuff. And his life his life sucks. He's an ordinary citizen. He was downtown, and the superhero threw his car at someone else when his car was ruined, and insurance said they don't cover that sort of thing. And so he had to ride his daughter's bike to work, and on his way to work, a detective was chasing a criminal, and he showed him his badge and threw him off the bike, and then used his bike to chase after the thing. And his neighbor's always leaving early in the morning or at different types of nights. And I like that concept. I like the idea of, you know, all those things, stuff that we see. I always think about that when I watch a movie. I mean, they did a little bit in Austin Powers, right? The life of a henchman. But this is the life of an ordinary citizen. That whole idea, like you're driving a car and they're like, get out, I need your car. And then they take the car and they chase after the bad guy. And I'm sitting there going, now I'm late for my meeting at work. I like that concept. It's a little depressing, I guess. But I've never really written a book, so I don't think I will. Will Mike be coming back to the main studio for the Christmas special? You mean the 12 games of Christmas? The answer to that is yes. What are my thoughts on Mythic Games demanding that backers pay more money to receive their pledge, or else they get nothing at all, including a refund? Well, they're getting nothing from me. I'm not giving them another dime. I'm not being coerced like that. I don't like it at all, so I'm not doing it, but you can do what you want. I'm not throwing good money after bad. That's sunk cost fallacy. I believe it's holding me hostage, and it's just an excuse to not send me my game. So I'm not only not doing that, I'm not reviewing their games anymore because of this. It's bad play in my perspective. But the good news is I do get 8,000 emails from them telling me their games are on sale all the time. Please buy them. So, Let's see here. Any last questions before I jump? I'm going to look at the new source campaign. I need to look a little bit more at it before. I haven't looked into that one as much here, so I can't tell you a whole lot about it. I'll know more by the time it shows up on Crowdsurfing. Well, it looks like I caught up to questions, and it's 10:01, and I hear Mike DeLisio talking out there. We'll be back in 3 hours for We'll Play It Live. I got reviews to do. We got videos to record. We got tomorrow, we'll be playing this live Marvel Dice Throne, and more coming your way. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a fantastic day. And to those people who celebrate it, have a good Halloween tomorrow. And we'll see you back here at 1 o'clock to play a horrific game, maybe. We'll see. Anyway, folks, until next time, I'm Tom Basil, and we'll see you all. And now I'm like trying to find the outro. Here it is.